So what is up guys, it's Smowtown here, and today we will be speculating on the development of the Corpus Lich equivalents, the Queenpins, and how they will be implemented in a way that makes sense to the lore of the game. I believe that some of the events of the Call of the Tempestarii have laid the groundwork in a nice way for the appearance of Queenpins, and we can look closely to draw some clues as to what we can expect. As we saw from Devstream 150 back in December, the Queenpins look nearly ready to go, so it's obvious they have been waiting for something. Probably the Railjack updates to make sure that they make sense in the fact that Railjack will play a big role when it comes to Queenpins, but also I believe they were waiting for the story to catch up so that they could implement them in a way that makes sense to the story. So let's talk about that. In Devstream 150, Rebecca hinted at the fact that Parvos Granum will have a large role to play in the implementation of these Queenpins, and that they would share his penchant for spectres. We could expect to fight Warframe spectres in the final stages of a Corpus Lich hunt. We do actually see footage of Rebecca doing this and fighting some Warframe spectres as she takes on her Queenpin. This all makes sense, but where do Corpus Liches gain their strengths and their powers from? What makes them stand out? Rebecca does mention the fact that Queenpins do have more technology base rather than the Kuva Lich ones, but this makes sense for any Corpus enemy because they are of course a technology based faction. So what makes them stand out from the Corpus hoi polloi? The answer of course lies with Parvos Granum and his knowledge of the void, dimensions and time manipulation, which he gleaned through Protea and her ability to imprison him in a void time prison. Protea combines technology with chronal manipulation as her powers, and it will be this aspect that Granum will model his Queenpins on, in my opinion. At the end of the Call of the Tempestarii, Granum saves Vala by pulling her from her imploding ship, and ripping her to the Granum Void somehow. After this we get a close-up of her face and we see that her eyes are sparkling, as if she is void touched. So what does this show us exactly? It shows us that from his extension of his study of Protea, Parvos is now able to manipulate void and space to a degree. He managed to grab someone from one dimension and pull them into his separate dimension, almost at will. Protea is a time and space manipulator, who is able to sequester Granum in a separate temporal prison, to save him from an imploding ship, and this plays moves at a different time to real space. So what if Granum has now studied Protea to the point where he is able to replicate this technology and now has a similar ability? That like Protea did to him, he was able to grab Vala at a moment in time and move her to a different dimension. As I mentioned in a prior video on Vala, Vala asks Granum for permission to use a multi-phasic ordnance, meaning an ordnance that has some multi-dimensional or multi-time effect. This is a perfect weapon for hunting the void-skipping Tempestarii, of course. It does suggest that Granum has been further using research from his pocket realm and Protea's powers to develop weaponry that is multi-phasic, and so is it not possible he uses such technology to save his allies by ripping them from one reality to the next at the moment of their deaths? Let us take this as a given for a moment, and that Granum does have some control over time and space. What then happens to those who are ripped from one reality to the next? In the quest, Vala looks changed, her eyes sparkle with void energy. What if she's the beginning of a separate Queenpin line? People who are changed by their contact with the void, moving through time and space from one place to another. What if upon saving Vala, Granum finds her changed more powerful, with innate interdimensional powers or interchronal powers? As the opportunist he is, he could see an opportunity to use her as a template to create a new line of temporal warriors, enhanced by Spectre servants and of course Corpus technology. It makes sense then why Granum would have allowed Vala's expedition to go after the Tempestarii in the first place. He wanted her to test this multi-phasic ordnance and see what would happen. He then sees the effect of this type of technology when he pulls her back from her death. Let's kind of tie this up with a little bit of gameplay speculation. So let's think about how Kuva Liches are born. The current Kuva Liches are spiked with Kuva, and then they're killed by the player, causing them to be resurrected by the Kuva and turn into a Kuva Lich. So for a Corpus Lich, it could be exactly the same with what happens with Vala instead. We are about to kill one of Parvos' Queenpins, and then Granum saves them at the moment of their death, using chrono and space manipulation, pulling them from one place to another just as they are about to die. They are then changed by this event, tooled up, given spectres and sent back out with void and chrono abilities. Let's also think about the mechanic of killing Liches. So when it comes to Kuva Liches, we have a number of prerequisites to cancel out the power of the old blood to allow them to fully die. Well, for Corpus Queenpins, could it not be that we need a way to halt their chrono or void manipulation? to stop them from jumping through time and space or rewinding time just as we're about to kill them so they can suffer a permanent death. This all makes perfect sense to me. We know Granum will be responsible for the creation of Queenpins, and it would make sense that Vala is the first in this line, a meld of technology and time manipulation, much like Protea once was. So that's my kind of prediction, speculation on the upcoming Queenpins, who I will see as kind of void liches who have the abilities of the void from being pulled through time and space by Granum, along with technology. What do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please consider giving it a like and a subscribe, as I do Warframe content. Check out some of the lore videos I've done recently on Vala Galarius. But until next time guys, I will see you in the void. Take care. Sister.